Hi everyone, it's Wendy and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome to all the new subscribers I've received recently. I'm glad to have you on board and I hope you enjoyed this year. So, as you would have noticed, this happened in the second week of December. I've broken the scaphoid bone just down here. So I'm hoping that with another few weeks of the cast on, it can come off and there won't be any issue. I'm no longer allowed on a ladder to do renovating. Yeah, I took a little bit of a tumble. Everything else was okay, but yeah, just a bit of diffraction. Hopefully it is just about healed and I can get this off without any concerns. So it has been fun trying to get around and do things with that hand, but I must say I was very, very happy. They gave me a green one, and you can see there the caster technicians have actually put glitter on here, and this actually glows in the dark at night time, a little bit like those stars that you get that you might put on a kid's ceiling. I was amazed by the amount of colours that you could get, but yeah, I had to be a bit of a kid and get a glow-in-the-dark one and some sprinkles on too. So it's allowed me the opportunity while I'm not at work to do some artwork. So for this year, I'm going to kick off with doing some daily challenges. It's been a while since I've done one because it's been a little bit busy as a healthcare worker, and art's kind of like fallen beside the way. So now I have the opportunity where I'm going to get a bit more playing going on. I'm going to see how much I can actually get done. In February I'm actually starting a degree in arts and community wellness, so it looks at using art as a therapy to actually cope with mental health issues. So I'm going to look forward to that process. In the meantime, I'm going to start with some ACTs. In one of the Two Sisters art sampler books, I think this was the October one, I received a little watercolour pad. I hadn't used this particular brand before. It came from China. I wasn't overly happy with how it actually worked with my watercolours, as a watercolour paper, the quality wasn't so great, but I've been playing around a bit and I actually found that it works quite well with gesso. Sorry, not gesso, gouache. So for those in Australia, I've actually Liquitex acrylic gouache would have to be one of my favourites. I initially got some samples through Art Snack. However, in Australia it was actually hard to find any additional of these at all. But around about mid 2020, Mrs. Red down on the Gold Coast in Queensland, she got these in and I absolutely love. So I basically get the primary colours which I can then mix into anything, but I will add a few more as I go along, and always the white and the black. People that have watched me in the past, you know how much I love gold, so I got a gold in the gouache, and also got a bit of the purple there, so it's a good range of colours. So I'm going to start with layers with the gouache, but I'm also going to be using a gel pen, just a white one, and I think that's all I'm going to use for this first card. So as I said, we're going to kick off with just doing a ACT using these cards to start with, and I'm going to just start off with the gouache. Over the days I might actually change it to other mediums. Let's see how we go. when I run out of these, I will just use watercolour paper and cut them down to the actual size. Okay, so this next bit, I'm not going to talk so much, and I'm just going to have some fun and paint. Did lie a bit. I thought I'd better do some talking. I've actually just got, what I actually like using with my acrylics and some of the other mediums is that I have just got, this was a sample glass plate that I got years ago. I think not even from that company, I just got it through I think like an op shop or something like that, where it's just bits and pieces. I found it has been great for doing using rolls with printing and things like that. The one really great thing I love about these Liquitex bottles is that it's a lot easier just to squeeze out what you need with that tubing on there. So you can actually use it straight onto canvases, or you can actually just, as I've just done there, it's just adding dabs. So I'm just going to start with those 4 colours for this page. Got my wrong paintbrushes in. That's what I'll do. Maybe. I'm just going to be using a flat brush to start with. I just want just a Payne's grey sort of colour in the background, or blue. When you're using gouache, if you haven't used gouache before, when they're a lighter colour they'll dry dark, and when they're a darker colour they seem to dry a little bit lighter than what you have when it's wet. I really enjoy using gouache. It gives a really smooth finish. A bit smoother than acrylics that I find. I find it works really, really well with mixed media products in general. So I can put pens over this. Now, it dries matte, which I like with the mixed mediums, whereas acrylics will dry very glossy. So all I'm doing is just doing cover. Now these are stuck down at the present stage, and we'll just lift that off. Now with other watercolour papers when I order in bulk, I get these little cool knives, so when you're actually using the blocks, leave the paper on the block. They have a tendency then less to warp, and then you can actually use this, slip this in the edge and actually just pull it off. So that generally comes with some of the block watercolour papers that you have. So I'm just going to pause for a minute. I'm going to let this dry, and then we're going to come back with the next layer. Okay, so you can see there, nice matte finish. I've got a little bit of a spot that I've missed there, but that's okay. I'm going to go over that shortly. So I'm going to keep going with these colours, but I'm going to lighten these down. So gouache is similar both to water and acrylics, if that makes any sense. Maybe not really. it has got some of the properties of the acrylics, however many properties of watercolour. So one thing you have to be careful of is that especially when it's on paper, is that the gouache can be reactivated when you're using water or water-soluble products over the top. But unlike acrylics, you can thin out the gouache quite simply with water. As you can see, this, off to the side, this is actually dried, but I'm adding a little bit of water and just reactivating that gouache, similar to watercolours in general. So I have found, since playing with this, while I love my watercolours and acrylics, gouache has absolutely been fantastic here in Australia for me. Is that in our wonderful, humid, hot climate, I'll actually often find that my acrylics dry way too fast, even if I prepare the surface well to keep it moist. It dries out very quickly, and I lose patches of colour that I've been working on. However, with the gouache, it allows me to stay a little bit more active, just by reactivating it with a bit of water. So I'm just going to do some simple patterns. I'm using a round brush now. Just very simple botanical images here. I'm not going to worry about if they're not too neat or tidy, because I'm actually going to come over and do some additional artwork with our white gel pen. So I hope everyone had an absolutely fantastic Christmas. Here where we were in Brisbane, we were very, very lucky. We weren't in any lockdown. There were precautions that still need to be taken, but I was so fortunate. I had the bulk of my family here, my parents, my father-in-law, and my kids were all together. Sadly, no, there's a lot of people, friends within the UK, that definitely did not have that opportunity. So I feel very, very grateful and blessed. And as for a summer, it was a beautiful 32 degrees, not very hot at all. Today, on the other hand, feeling a bit humid. I think we might be up into the high 30s at the moment. As you can imagine, acrylics have a tendency in that sort of temperature to dry very quickly. So what I'm going to do is pause for a moment. I'm going to dry this off. As I said, because this is still moist, if I come back over with another one, they will bleed together. I just want to make sure that this is nice and dry before I put another one on, so it's not reactivating too much. Okay, so it's nice and dry. You see, it's a little bit rough. As I said, I'm not too worried about that at the moment, because I do want... Well, I guess I'm going for a bit of a shabby sort of look. I was going to go over it with a little bit of pen. My inspiration for this, I was looking at better ways of using gouache, because it is relatively new to me as well. I found some wonderful inspiration on Pinterest. Can't really remember exactly where I saw this image. No, it wasn't exactly this image, but this idea. It was a larger piece Just get this down into a smaller little image. Yes. Oh, I've actually fallen over and broken my hand. I must admit, I'm enjoying this season. I think the last time I've had this much time off with my kids during school holidays was when I was actually stay-at-home mum. I haven't had this much time off during summer for it must be 12 years. So it has been quite a novelty actually having this time off. Mind you, having a broken hand has been driving me a little bit batty in what I can and can't do still. Because my thumb has had to remain still because the fracture is just at the base of the thumb. So I've got to limit its movement. You don't realise how much you need your second hand to do many things, especially your thumb. I cannot, for the life of me, open up a bottle. So that comes back to my husband, and even downtown, if I've got to open up a water bottle, I often resort to my teenagers having to look after their mum. Lucky it hasn't been too painful. Been some days where I've pushed myself too much and it's a little bit uncomfortable. But resting, putting it up, taking it a little bit easier does help. But looking forward to getting this off. Summer weather has not been the best time to have a fracture. Casts in Australia are just horrid. I was very glad that this is the second cast. The first one was just a temporary. It was the old plastic cast. At least this one is fiberglass, so it's a lot lighter and it's just allows a bit more air circulation too. Okay, I'm going to come back and I'm just going to dry this and then we'll come back with some pen. Okay, I'm liking the way that it's starting to look. Now, I bought several white pens recently trying to work out which one I liked the most, which one was the most versatile. And I've actually found this one, which is a Uniball and Signo, to be absolutely fantastic. I love this. I have been using it non-stop probably for around about 2 months. I'm surprised it hasn't run out on me yet. But I will have to duck down to actually get this again. For those people in Australia, I got this at Officeworks, which is an Australian office shop, so it was a quite reasonable price and it has absolutely been fantastic with mixed media projects. So I am just going to just be adding some other dots over here. This is just a very simple little ACT, and we'll embellish it with some word art. I've got a Tim Holtz book, so we'll use that just to add something to it. As you can see on the gouache, the gel pen just really jumps off that page. I like the definite lines that the gouache actually gives. So I'm not counting these at all, and I'm not putting many patterns. It's just basically going straight down on the page. Now, as a nurse, I was a little bit disappointed for 2020. Believe it or not, last year was supposed to be the year of the nurse. I really wasn't impressed with how the year of the nurse kind of was lost, in the sense of, I guess it was pretty much ironic really, that anyone within the healthcare industry that's had to work through this pandemic, it has been tiring and stressful. You would have assumed that the year of the nurse, we might have had a few more celebrations, being able to have a few events where we could enjoy ourselves and celebrate what we do. However, we continue to demonstrate to the world just how flexible, strong and resilient we are. I just hope that next year, especially in Australia, sorry, this is my warped sense of humour, is that I'm hoping that actually I'm not quite sure what 2021 is. Let's hope it's not the year of the firefighter. Queensland, our fires, in Australia in general, fires are pretty hairy. Our 2019-2020 year for fires before COVID actually started were horrific. The loss of vegetation in animals was horrendous. There was a landmass, probably 2/3 of the United Kingdom and Australia were actually devastated by fire. Okay, so I really think that's cute. So I'm just going to pick out, this is the Tim Holtz ideology, his wordology collection, just with little sayings. Oops, sorry, not that. Skip that one. Just across the top. Now, I just like, while these stick, I just like just to stick a little bit more, reduce the risk of them coming off. So that's just a bit of a glue stick. Just going to put this now at the top. Sorry, a bit of glare there. Okay. I'm just going to cut this off. So just with this knife, it's just coming in between the pages. So you can see I'm a bit gummy with my left hand. One thing I do like about these sort of cards is that while it didn't say what the weight was, it does feel like it's only about 300 GSM, but as I said, the quality of watercolour paper itself I wasn't overly impressed with the way it worked. Okay, so that is my first little ACT. Now I hope you enjoyed that, and follow me with my daily challenge of creating some more, and just keep an eye out too for other art projects that will be coming along the way. Thanks very much, and look forward to talking and chatting with you more during 2021.